Welcome to the Overstimulation Station. This is my list of the least fun games found on the Super Nintendo. Now, I'm not counting down the worst games on the Super Nintendo, just the games that you'll get the least amount of enjoyment from playing. So without further ado, here we go.
Coming in at number 10 is Spawn, developed by Okiyo Tai, a short-lived Japanese game developer that was founded by a former employee of Capcom. I love the Spawn character, and Spawn creator Todd McFarlane's art style is just fantastic. I had a lot of hope for this game, but it did not deliver. This game suffers from stiff controls and mundane beat-em-up style gameplay. The unresponsive controls makes this game unintentionally difficult.
It's one of those games where you hit the attack button and then 3 seconds later, he decides to actually attack.
This is a huge handicap that saps any kind of fun that might have otherwise been had. Your only truly useful attack in this game is this Daoshim spin kick ripoff. I could never even get past the second boss in this game because of its broken-ass controls. It seems the Spawn property has unfortunately never been able to translate well outside of the comic books and the HBO animated series in the 90s. In at number 9 is Rocko's Modern Life, Spunky's Dangerous Day, developed by Viacom, who pretty much owns all media everywhere. Though the concept for the game was quite original, it is an exercise in pure frustration. You have to escort Rocko's dog Spunky through various stages and help him avoid dangerous pitfalls. This got exponentially more challenging as the levels progressed. Even though the character you play as, Rocko, is essentially invincible, his dog is not. And oftentimes Spunky ends up in a place that Rocko can't even get to, so you just have to hope for the best that your dog doesn't die somehow. This game is so tedious. You're always having to figure out ways to assist Spunky to the next area on the fly, and it's so easy to send the dog in the completely wrong direction, wasting time and often sending you back to an earlier point in the stage. The entire time you're just wishing Rocko could just pick up the damn dog and physically take him to the next spot. But oh no, you have to wait for Spunky to take his sweet, ever-loving time to saunter his ass over to the other side of the screen. Do me a personal favor, skip this game. Our number 8 spot is a game you've never heard of, developed by a company you've never heard of, so who gives a shit? Mohawk and Headphone Jack is one of those games you pick up out of pure curiosity, and the fact that it only cost you $2 at the nearest retro game store. This game defies all logic of physics. Sometimes you jump and land back on the ground. Sometimes you jump and the whole screen reorients and now you're on the ceiling, or ground, or something. This game honestly makes me fucking nauseous. You play as a roided out STD who runs around collecting useless items and, well, I don't know what you're supposed to be doing, to be honest, and I don't want to find out.
It's like the game developer said, here's a game, it doesn't have a point, have fun getting motion sickness, asshole, we already have your money.
At number 7, we have Fighter's History, developed by Data East, who isn't exactly the first company that comes to mind when we're thinking about fun games. This game should have been called How Close Can We Get to Completely Ripping Off Street Fighter 2 Without Being Sued by Capcom History. From the character selection screen, to the moves, to even the damn health bars, this is a pure Street Fighter 2 ripoff. These kind of games are only fun to play for the first 5 minutes, just to marvel at all the ways they manage to rip off other successful franchises. Hell, even some of the characters you get to play as look like bad guy knockoffs ripped from another Capcom franchise. Yeah, this guy is just jerking his dick off right in Capcom's face. Did they really think people were gonna fall for this crap? I don't even know how I ended up with this game, but it just makes you wish you were playing Street Fighter 2 instead.
What the fuck? Oh my god. Are you... Wow, that is just adorable.
Super James Pond, developed by Who Gives a Shit Interactive, is one of those annoying cancers of a game that infested like 10 different gaming consoles like the Sega Genesis, Amiga, Atari, Game Gear, Commodore 64, Master System, PC, Game Boy, and of course the Super Nintendo. Upon first playing this game, the only conclusion I could come to was that you were a jolly old turd who has the unique ability to turn yourself into an even longer turd in an attempt to grab onto higher platforms. This is your main game mechanic used to solve puzzles and get to hidden areas. Besides the fact that the gameplay is boring and unoriginal, just the pure cutesiness of this game is enough to make me want to hurl. There is a good way to do cute and a bad way, and this is just about as corny as it gets. This game is unbearable, from the generic collectibles, to the generic enemies, to the generic platforming. This is a game that you should keep out of your game collection just on principle alone. A lot of games on this list would have really benefited from having the instruction manual, just because there's no clear indication of what the fuck you're supposed to do, and this game is no exception to that. Pass! Wanderers from Wise, or YS, or whatever the fuck, I don't know how to pronounce the name. I remember picking this game up at the used video game store because the cover art intrigued me and I thought it might be a fun, hidden gem, adventure type game. Well, it's an adventure game, alright, but it's pretty fucking far from fun. That's the big problem here. After forcing you to sit through the intro and wandering around a generic town and talking to generic townsfolk, you finally go to the caves to stop the evil monsters that are terrorizing anyone who dares to venture outside of the city. And that's when you finally get to see some action. So what kind of horrible monsters are terrorizing all of the fine citizens of Wise? Indecipherable insects both on land and in the air. Looks like it's up to me, and I'm dead. Game over, gotta start all over again from the beginning. Fuck this game. Up next, we have Super Conflict, developed by Manley & Associates. And judging by the cover art of the game cartridge, this is clearly a manly game. I mean, not only is this a conflict, this is a super conflict. This is a very big disagreement we have on our hands.
I can only imagine that this is going to be some kind of Call of Duty precursor. We have a conflict of super proportions on our hands, after all.
Oh, a turn-based strategy game. Fought in the theater of hexagonal tiles. How exciting. Oh, seriously. My blood is pumping right now. This is so much fun. Oh, wait a second. Here we go. Finally some action. When you think of war-based games, does the phrase turn-based strategy come into your mind at all?
No! I want to be driving the tank. I want to be firing the rocket launchers. I want to be gunning people down with my AK-47. Not plotting and taking turns and waiting around. This game's major conflict is with fun.
Whoa, buddy, strap yourself in for one of the least exciting racing games you've ever played, Uniracers! Believe it or not, this was a first-party title, meaning that it was developed by Nintendo. The concept alone was enough to make me question the fun factor of this game. Your racing vehicle is a fucking unmanned unicycle? Really? Why are the unicycles named after people? And why are there so many to choose from? The only perceivable difference between any of them is the color. What the fuck? Apparently this game has some sort of cult following, which just goes to show you that some people will lick up anything Nintendo poops out. Well, here's the game. Dull graphics and lackluster gameplay will ensure that you won't be dusting off this cart for retro game night anytime soon. What do I even have to say about Super Black Bass? It's a fishing game and it can kiss my ass. Yes, you can select different lures, baits, weights, rods, cods, and groanings of frogs. But this game is lame. In fact, it could make it to the Hall of Shame for being so plain. What really gets my goat is the funnest part is driving the boat. This game can suck on my scrote. If you love that real fishing leaves you in the land of Snordom, then you'll also enjoy this brand of digital boredom. One of the least fun games found on the Super Nintendo for my money would have to be Championship Pool. They show you the credits first because they know nobody is gonna sit through this pile of shit long enough to beat it. I can't think of a worse real-life game to make a video game out of. There are so many subtleties to the game of pool that there's no way you could make a convincing Super Nintendo version of it. Even trying to do so was such a waste of time.
You know, when going through this list of the top 10 least fun games on the Super Nintendo, I started thinking about all the great games that were on the Super Nintendo and all the potential that it had. The system itself was so innovative for its time, and a lot of the game developers really pushed the capabilities of what it could do. And that's what baffles me about games like Championship Pool. It's like, you had the infrastructure. You could have made a good game. It had been done before on the machine. But what did you choose to do with your powers? Did you make a great game? No. You made a steaming pile of shit, unlike this game. Or even this game. That's what really just mind fucks me about all these crappy games that were made and put out on the Super Nintendo. All the missed potential. Well, that was my list for the top 10 least fun Super Nintendo games. Do you agree with my list? Do you disagree with my list? Should I have included some title that was just blatantly obvious that I missed out on? Well, let me know in the comments below! And remember to subscribe and all that other kind of stuff. And if you ever find yourself feeling just too happy and enjoying life too much someday and you want to become bored and depressed, you can pick up any one of these titles that I talked about today, including Mohawk and Headphone Jack, on eBay for under $15. I already checked. Every single one of these are under 15 bucks. So if you want to find out for yourself how boring and shitty they are, go and get one. My name's Josh Cannon. That's all the time I have. Thanks for watching.